Good evening. I am Headmaster Denise Lonergan, and I welcome you to these commencement exercises for the Dover-Sherborn High School class of 2013. Before we begin, I offer my apology for an error on the program. Mr. Durensis is representing the Sherborn Board of Selectmen, and Mr. Dawley is representing the Dover Board of Selectmen. At this time, it is my distinct privilege to present Mary Elizabeth Keogh, President of the Class of 2013, who is the Master of Ceremonies for the celebratory occasion.
Connor Daly McCormick, Vice President of the Class of 2013, will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our great nation has persevered through the leadership and sacrifices of men and women who have served or are currently serving in our armed forces. We invite both veterans and current military personnel to stand. We thank you for your service to our country. Now I invite all to stand for the singing of our national anthem by the Dover-Sherborn Vocal Ensemble under the direction of Mr. Christopher Keene.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the so gallantly streaming, and the rockets right where the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner
Thank you. At this time, I would like to introduce Sherborn Selectman Paul Durensis.
Good afternoon. I am here on behalf of the town of Sherborn and all the citizens of the town to extend the greetings and congratulations on behalf of a proud community. I personally have waited 18 years to see my daughter graduate today, so this is a day for personal pride too. Let me say a word to the class of 2013, a word about the future. People often wonder, what will the world be like 20 years from now? We don't need a crystal ball. Ask the class of 2013. Today's graduates are the makers of tomorrow. Each young man and woman graduating today carries a dream of what the future will be. These individual dreams, great and small, are the fabric that tomorrow is made of. Not only will our graduates be the mothers and fathers of the next generation, they will be the makers of what our country and world will grow to be in 20 years from now. So, class of 2013, it will be you who will be the scientists who will strive for the cures for diseases. You will be the doctors, the police, the nurses, the teachers, the businessmen, the everything of tomorrow. You will write the songs, paint the pictures, and produce the movies that show us life as it is and life as it could be. You will be the future leaders who will teach your children, like we as parents have taught you, to face life with courage, faith, and hope. So, class of 2013, get out there and shape our world. Bring on our future. Now at this time, I'd like to take a moment to thank the teachers and school administration from Pine Hill, the middle school, and high school, not just as a Sherborn Selectman, but as a grateful parent. In particular, the town of Sherborn wants to recognize two people who have helped the Dover-Sherborn schools achieve the great success it has, and who are also graduating this year to retirement. If I might, could Denise Lonergan and Valerie Spriggs step forward? It is with sincere thanks, Denise Lonergan, on behalf of the town of Sherborn, we present this gift in thanksgiving for all that you've done for us and our students.
Thank you very much.
Valerie Spriggs came to Dover-Sherborn in 2008 as our superintendent, and as you know, Dover-Sherborn has maintained itself as a nationally recognized top school system. Thank you from the town of Sherborn.
Thank you very much. No hug? Yeah,
Well done. So in closing, Class of 2013, get out there, use your talents to shape our world. Congratulations for your achievements over your high school career and the achievements yet to come.
Thank you. Now I would like to introduce Dover Selectman James P. Dolly, Jr.
Good evening. On behalf of the town of Dover, and obviously for a couple minutes Sherborn, I would like to congratulate the 2013 graduating class of the Dover-Sherborn Regional High School, along with my thanks to the administration and faculty for continuing to lead our youth and again attaining national recognition. Thank you for inviting me. This is my second year of representing Dover at graduation. Last year, quite honestly, I was nervous. But after witnessing the overwhelming joy of the graduates, their families, not to mention how proud the administration and faculty were, I came away thinking this is one of the better events a selectman can attend. I also would like to acknowledge the upcoming change in leadership, as both Superintendent Valerie Spriggs and Headmaster Denise Lonergan are leaving. Their leadership and dedication to the learning experience should be commended. More importantly, though, is their dedication to making sure that all the graduates are properly prepared for what lies in front of them. I mentioned the fact that our school system continues to be recognized for the outstanding students' performance, and you should be very proud of this accomplishment. I do wish all the graduates the very best going forward, but I do have one request, and that is to thank your fellow classmates, your teachers, and the administrators, but more importantly, your families for their support. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 49th commencement ceremony of Dover-Sherborn High School. Before I begin, I want to recognize some very important people in our lives. First, I would like to thank Superintendent Spriggs for leading our district with distinction in class, and of course for those 6 snow days. I also want to thank Mrs. Lonergan and Mrs. Partland for their compassion and dedication to our school community these past 4 years. And finally, to the rest of the faculty, parents, and siblings of Dover-Sherborn, I thank you for all you have given us. Had it not been for each of you challenging, guiding, teaching, and loving us, we would not be where we are today. Thank you. Class of 2013, it's hard to believe, but we've made it. I look back to when we were preschoolers at Rocking Horse, ECDC, and Dover Nursery, then kindergartners on our first big day at Chickering and Pine Hill, before we all finally crossed paths for the first time in middle school, and I wonder how it all went by so fast. I'm not sure where all the summers at Farm Pond and winters sledding down Salt and Stall Hill have gone, or when getting ready for graduation started to mean leaving high school instead of leaving 8th grade. But alas, here we are today, clad in our caps and gowns and ready for the next step in life. I'm sure we won't forget the afternoons at CNL Frosty and Isabella's, the field days, the football games, the field trips to Mystic Seaport in Washington, D.C., or the Friday nights filled with sweaty hands and all kinds of awkward back at 5th grade social dance. Yes, looking back on it, we have certainly had many good times together. As we move into this new chapter of our lives, however, No matter how excited we may be about leaving the comforts of Dover-Sherborn for new beginnings, in the end, it will be exactly that, leaving the comforts of our home. As most of us delve into the strange unknowns of college next year, I'm sure after the initial excitement of a new environment wears off, we will undoubtedly feel a little lost. Or as my grandmother put gently to me the other day, we will be so lonely. As we begin this transition, I have 3 pieces of advice to offer. The first 2 are from my grandmother, whom I call Nan, and the last from my favorite author, Tim O'Brien. I've lived with Nan my whole life, and she has always been a role model for me. Having lost 2 children in her life, my aunt and uncle, Nan is no stranger to hardship. Yet she is one of the happiest, most appreciative people I have ever known. 2 weeks ago, Nan went into surgery for a knee replacement, and recovery has been difficult. Unfortunately, she isn't quite well enough yet to be here tonight, but I'd like to share her wisdom with all of you nonetheless. When my older sister, Julia, and I went to visit Nan recently, I was beginning to have mixed feelings about the end of high school and the many goodbyes that loom ahead. And my sister, a recent college graduate, was being swallowed up by the post-graduation blues. Despite being stuck in a hospital bed, Nan greeted us that day with open arms and a warm smile. As Julia vented to her about feeling lost and confused and sad about leaving behind the best 4 years of her life, Nan gave her 2 valuable pieces of advice. The first thing she said to my sister was simple yet profound. She told her to always move toward life. When the excitement of moving into school next year wears off and you realize for the first time that you are really without your friends and family, I hope you will remember Nan's advice and move toward life. Get involved in an activity you've never done before. Introduce yourself to a stranger, try a new restaurant, and meet new people. As a fresh college graduate, my older sister will attest to the fact that the next 4 years will pass quickly. They are a gift we should embrace fully, every day. Don't shy away from adventure in the uncharted territories. Move toward life in every decision you make. The second piece of advice my grandmother had to offer my sister that day came in the form of a question. Nan asked her, "What have you been doing for others lately?" My grandmother is a firm believer in random acts of kindness. It is not uncommon to come home to a box of my favorite brownie mix on the counter that arrived out of the blue, or my favorite, a $20 bill with a note scrawled on it, "Because I love you." After losing 2 of her children, a burden most of us can thankfully only imagine, my grandmother swears that it was being kind to others that kept her going. So I urge you all to remember this. If you run into a time when you can't cheer yourself up in life, then make someone else happy instead. Finally, the last piece of advice I borrow from Tim O'Brien. It comes from his novel, Going After Cacciato, a book which tells the story of a young soldier, Cacciato, who up and left the Vietnam War one day to begin a journey to Paris instead. The other men in his platoon thought he had lost it, and it's not hard to see why. As a quick geography refresher, about 13 countries and 8,700 miles stand between Paris and Vietnam. However, as Tim O'Brien wrote of Cacciato's adventure, it could be done. That was the crazy thing about it. For all the difficulties, for all the hard times and stupidity and errors, for all that, it truly could be done. So my last wish for all of you is to find your Paris, a dream that might be crazy, a wish unfulfilled, and remember that it truly can be done. It's hard to believe our time together as a class has actually come to a close, but you all have been unforgettable friends and classmates these past 12 years. I cannot imagine a better group to have grown up with. I will miss you all, and I wish every one of you the best of luck in your undoubtedly bright futures. Thank you. Tonight, our class in the Dover-Sherborn community will also say farewell to 5 highly respected and beloved teachers and administrators. The class of 2013 would like to recognize these members of the school community with a small token of our appreciation. Superintendent Spriggs, Mrs. Kenny, Mrs. Lannon, Mrs. Anshaw, and Mrs. Lonergan, thank you for all you have done over the years. Each of your presence in our school will be missed but not forgotten. Please come and retrieve your flowers. Thank you again. Next, the Dover-Sherborn a cappella group will sing for us a piece called "It's So Hard to Say Goodbye."
One, two.
How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times that made us laugh outweighed the bad.
I thought we'd get to see forever, but forever is gone away. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
I don't know where this road is going to lead. All I know is where we've been and what we've been through.
If we get to see tomorrow, I hope it's worth all the pain. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
And I'll take with me the memories to be my sunshine after the rain.
It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. And I'll
Take with me the memories to be my sunshine after the rain.
It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
Thank you. Now, I would like to introduce our first Declamation finalist from the class of 2013, Emily Sharzad Rahavan.
On April 5th, we had our student-teacher basketball game and pep rally. I sat high in the bleachers and wordlessly watched while trying to dodge the other senior girls clamoring past me to get to their friends and the junior boys who were haphazardly tossing someone's backpack down a few rows. While the gym was loud with the stomps of climbing feet on metal stands and people shouting to rally their friends in one collective area, I looked around. A disinterested boy sat on the end of the first bleacher, reading a book and trying to block out the sounds around him. A girl and her sister sat giggling on the second bench. A different boy stood behind the announcer in the front of the room, trying to discreetly hold a large bouquet of flowers that he was about to use to publicly ask a girl to prom. Immersed in the sounds, the spectrum of people, the students, the teachers, the screaming friends, I realized this was high school. This was the quintessential teenage Disney Channel original moment that you think of. This was high school, and it was almost over. My eyes continued around the room, trying to take in the cheesy perfection of this moment, when they landed on a boy in a blue shirt down on the court, effortlessly throwing a basketball to one of his friends. Almost instantly, the picturesque moment at hand dissolved around me, and I was remembering kindergarten. A 5-year-old Emily sat in the center of Miss T's classroom, and the same boy from the court sat across from her in 5-year-old form. One of his arms was coated in Band-Aids, and he was trying desperately to build a tower. As his third attempt crumbled to the ground, the boy held out a damaged-looking block to me and said, "Do you like blue?" I don't remember what I said, or even if I said anything at all, but the next moment, he scooped up all the blue blocks and dumped them in my lap. He explained, "I don't like blue. Here." The weird thing is, he wasn't even in my class, and I don't think we spoke again until 3rd grade or so, when he said I could be on his team for football, but only if I promised not to catch the ball. After that brief proposition, I don't think we've spoken, except for a few scattered pleasantries or group discussions in class. But looking down at him, wearing the color he once swore to dislike, I felt a sense of abandonment. I realized that although we aren't close, I know all of his siblings' names. I remember when his dog died in 4th grade. I can clearly recall when he got a bloody nose in 7th grade gym from kickball, and yet I don't know where he's going to college next year. An unexpected rush of lonesomeness flooded me because this boy was going to continue his life and I would be no part of it. My time with him was almost over. He is going to make friends I will never know. He may get a bloody nose from another stray kickball, and I will be none the wiser. Someone who I haven't spoken to in years or ever even had a serious conversation with made me upset just by wearing a specific color on his shirt. Just by wearing a specific color on his shirt and by being in my line of vision that day. But I realize now it wasn't him that made me upset. It's all of you. It's the people I grew up with. The bodies who sit behind me today have surrounded me for the majority of my life. Soon they won't. A boy who I pushed down the slide in preschool sat next to me in Chinese last year. A girl who I used to get separated from at nap time for talking too much was my best friend's target in Senior Assassins, so we stalked her for 2 hours with water guns. And I've had that best friend for 14 years. This is growing up together. Our lives intertwine and coexist parallel to each other flawlessly, with only one stoplight in the center of town to separate us. This is Dover-Sherborn. Our time is almost over. The distinct privilege allotted to us at DS is one we take for granted. By age 15, almost all of us can casually rattle off at least one parent's profession and the family pet name of any peer. Many complain, especially teenagers without licenses, that the so-called bubble we live in is horrible. What the complainers don't understand is that we're lucky to have this improvised family. As cliche as I'm about to be, a family is defined as a fundamental social group in society, typically consisting of parents and their children who come together for the purpose of providing and supporting for each other. And how could you call anything but what we have in this community just that? Together we cry, we laugh, we support, we provide, we fight. And whether you like it or not, we're a family. Parents in this room, almost all of you can probably state that you have at least one surrogate child who will gladly open your fridge without apprehension. Kids, you can be randomly assigned to a partner in class and have almost no problem in sitting down and talking to them as if you're picking up a conversation. Not happening. Kids, you can be randomly assigned to a partner in class and have almost no problem sitting down and talking to them as if you're picking up a conversation you left off because you've known each other for so long before that moment. The parents in here have provided homes, rides, pasta dinners, chaperones, and everything else for not only their own children, but plenty more. Kids, you've acted as teammates, classmates, brothers, sisters, captains, and everything else in between. We have all provided for and supported this community without apprehension for the last 18 years or more. Even those who joined our provisional family later fit in so flawlessly that many of us can hardly distinguish who they are, except for a specific girl, but only because of her extreme height. Now our time together is almost over. A few months of limbo exists for us ahead, done with the past, but not yet able to travel on to the future. We will wait patiently for our individual departure dates to arrive, and then blame their inevitability for the rushed goodbyes that we will give to close friends and acquaintances. A brief hug and exchange sentiments to somehow encompass your time together. Don't let this happen. Take the next 3 months to let the blue-shirted boy know that you'll miss it. I'll miss him, and that you wish you'd gotten to know him better. Inform the people you've grown up with that you appreciate everything they've done and every experience you endured alongside them. Tell your old soccer team that they made you stronger from their cheers on the sideline. Tell Mr. O'Hagan that you're super sorry for rear-ending him in Needham. Tell your sophomore English teacher that he inspired you to branch out in ways you didn't think possible. Tell the fire department that it was you who set off the alarm at a dress rehearsal in 7th grade, and you feel really bad for hiding in the bathroom and not admitting it until now. Sorry. But most importantly, tell your parents that you'll miss them next year and will think about them more often than you'd like to admit. Give these people a proper goodbye, because maybe it won't be goodbye after all. Maybe a few years from now, you'll run into the girl who was publicly asked to prom at a pep rally, and you'll pick up your conversation right where you left off. Our time is not yet over. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Our next Declamation finalist from the class of 2013 is Benjamin Cutler Schaefer.
Good evening. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. If someone had mentioned this Soren Kierkegaard quote to me at the beginning of last year, I would have said, wait, that's that cheesy saying Mr. Potts rambled on about all the time. Pointless as it may have seemed back then, I would have never imagined that one day I would be living those same words. As a class, too, we are living our lives forward. A new chapter of our lives is unfolding. Yet, we must not forget about our common roots as students, learners, friends, regardless of where our expanding ambitions take us. As we take this monumental step towards becoming mature and autonomous people, let's reflect for a moment on where we have come from and where we are going. Let's step backwards to understand how we've come to be who we are today. I'll begin by talking about the most integral and most enjoyable part of our high school lives, the learning. Looking back, it's impossible not to appreciate how much we've learned in the past 4 years. We now know how important a thorough understanding of United States history from Roanoke to Reagan is in allowing us to see today's events in an ever-necessary context. The literary works of Homer, Shakespeare, Wilde, Joyce, and Morrison have given us invaluable knowledge of human nature and self-understanding. And what would our high school educations be had we not learned how to create molten iron by igniting unnecessarily large amounts of thermite in chemistry? Using polar coordinates to draw spirals on our graphing calculators will undoubtedly come in handy for those tough college calculus courses. And knowing how to coax a Spanish teacher for the extra Spanish punto is another such lifelong skill. Jokes aside, what we've learned in the past 4 years gives us raw experience and knowledge that will serve us for the rest of our lives. These things would not have come, however, without the instruction and guidance of our teachers. As hard as we have worked over the past 4 years, our teachers have worked just as tirelessly to give us some of the best education in the state while also being incredibly amiable at the same time. I don't think any of us students could imagine how boring geometry would have been without Mr. Baruti as our teacher. And history without Mr. Kaplan, I'd have gone crazy. At DS, however, the teachers are not only educators, they can be friends as well. Mr. Martell and I, for example, have formed a daily habit of finding the humor in pessimism. Every Monday, we jokingly share our sighs of grief, and every Friday, we jokingly share how much work we have to do over the weekend. Separately, I rarely pass through the English wing after school without finding myself in a 20-minute conversation with Mrs. Lee. Having not had a class with her since freshman year, I see this as testament to the strength of the friendships that many students have formed with their teachers here at DS. I urge my fellow classmates not to forget about these relationships. We will, of course, forge new ones in the coming years, but we should not abandon those which we have already nurtured. To be able to connect with a teacher in the way each of us has is a privilege to appreciate, but a gift to cherish. Even more important, however, are the friendships that we, as a class, have formed. Whether it's a 4-minute conversation in front of the library before school or a 4-hour party at the Royal Sinesta, a moment of camaraderie is never hard to find among the members of our class. I find it disturbing how many people say, the friends you form in college will be the friends you have for the rest of your life. When I look around myself today, I see people who I've formed inseparable bonds with over the past 4 years. I don't see why these friendships should ever dissolve. Our heading different ways should not sever our connections. While we'll form new friendships wherever our ambitions take us, it's essential that we retain the sense of community that has defined our high school lives. Our friends are no more than a text, Facebook message, or dare I say, phone call away. As I go on to college and beyond, I'll consider my time at Dover-Sherborn to be the foundation for whatever success I may find. Reflecting back to the things I've learned, the teachers I've met, and the friendships I've made is an essential part of the journey forward. I'm sure you, my classmates, feel the same way. It's unlikely that we'll gain much moving ahead if we do not understand and appreciate where we've been. Therefore, I implore each member of the graduating class to reflect now and then, to stay in touch with the teachers and friends who have enabled us to learn and accomplish. With this in mind, I want to thank the faculty for their dedication to us and our learning, and my fellow classmates for being so supportive of each other throughout our time here at DS. Oh yeah, and parents, you guys were pretty helpful too. 4 years from now, who knows where forwards will have taken us. Just remember that to live a meaningful life, you must equate what you live in life with what you understand of the past. Thank you and congratulations to all.
Thank you, Ben. I would now like to introduce DSHS PTO President Nancy Sims.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Sims. I'm president of the Dover-Sherborn High School PTO. On the occasion of Denise Lonergan's retirement, and with the support of the administration and the Regional School Committee, the DSHS PTO has established an annual award in her name. A trophy case will be constructed in the front entranceway of the high school. A silver tray trophy will be put on permanent display there. Upon it will be engraved the names of each of the annual winners and the following inscription: the Lonergan Trophy, in honor of Denise Lonergan for 33 years of service to the Dover-Sherborn High School community. Presented annually to members of the senior class, one boy and one girl, active in the school community, in good academic standing, and possessing the following qualities: altruism, character, diligence, integrity, and loyalty. I'd like to invite the Lonergan Trophy recipients for 2013 to please come forward. Molly Brock and Jeff Stevens.
We will now hear a selection by the Dover-Sherborn Vocal Ensemble under the direction of Mr. Christopher Keene.
It's been a long, dark night, and I've been waiting for the morning. It's been a long, hard fight, and I see a brand new day dawning. I've been looking for the sunshine be alright, it's gonna be okay.
I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a brand new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Everything's gonna be alright, it's gonna be okay. I can see the light, see the light. Brand new day. Morning, clear blue morning, clear morning, I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light. I can see the light. Blue, blue morning. Blue
Thank you. I would now like to present Denise Lonergan, Headmaster.
Thank you, Mary. On behalf of the faculty, staff, and administrative team, I congratulate the members of the class of 2013 and their families. Seated behind me are Ellen Williamson, representative of the Dover-Sherborn Regional School Committee, who will be presenting the diplomas this evening, Ms. Valerie Spriggs, Superintendent of Schools, and Ms. Kim McParland, Assistant Headmaster. I recognize several individuals seated in the audience: Dover Selectman James Dawley Jr., Sherborn Selectman Paul Durensis, Assistant Superintendent Stephen Bliss, and the members of the high school leadership team, Joanne Kenny, Director of Guidance, Jerry Schimmel, Director of Special Education, and Athletic Director Heath Rollins. At this time, I would ask all staff members who are present this evening, pre-kindergarten through grade 12, to stand and be recognized for your dedication and service. Ellen Williamson has served on the Dover-Sherborn Regional School Committee for 9 years and on the Sherborn School Committee for 3 years. Ellen, thank you for your years of service to the students of Dover-Sherborn. Please stand and be recognized. Several staff members are retiring at the end of this academic year. Linda Lannon, World Language Teacher and Department Head; Judith Cranshaw, Living Fine and Technical Arts Teacher and Department Head, who has served as production assistant for the DS Drama program in more than 40 productions, and Joanne Kenny, Director of Guidance for the region. We wish these dedicated staff members the very best in the coming years. Ms. Kenny, Ms. Cranshaw, Ms. Lannon, please stand and be recognized. We are also bidding farewell to our Superintendent of Schools, Valerie Spriggs, who has been the educational leader for the Dover-Sherborn Public Schools for the past 5 years. Superintendent Spriggs, we thank you for your years of service, and we wish you health and happiness in the coming years. Please stand and be recognized. The students seated in the front row include the leadership team for the class of 2013 and our Declamation finalists. From your left to your right are Emily Shazwad Rahavan, Declamation finalist, Andrew Hyunjun Jong, Student Council representative, Benjamin Edward Brea, Student Council representative, Nevin Andrew Weinberg, Secretary of the class of 2013, Mary Elizabeth Keogh, President of the class of 2013, Connor Daly McCormick, Vice President of the class of 2013, Julia Bella Perlmutter, Class Treasurer, Vice President of the Student Council, Perry James Fitz, Student Council Treasurer, Elizabeth Ann Rummel, and Declamation finalist, Benjamin Cutler Schaefer. Please stand and be recognized. I have been privileged to work closely with the following students who have served on school council during their high school careers. Their service on council is vital to the development of a school improvement plan that addresses student and school issues. These students are Marissa Joy Albert, Nicholas Alexander Barbier, Gregory Richard Michalowski, William Alexander Mitchell, and Hannah Mairead Morse. Please stand and be recognized. "52 members of the class were inducted into the Dover-Sherborn chapter of the National Honor Society. These students can be distinguished by the gold tassels and honor cords that they are wearing. Dover-Sherborn High School instituted a World Language Honor Society for each of the world languages offered. The members of the National Chinese Honor Society are wearing black and red honor cords. The members of the National French Honor Society are wearing blue and red honor cords. The members of the National Latin Honor Society are wearing purple and silver cords. And the members of the National Spanish Honor Society are wearing red and yellow honor cords. Members of the graduating class, you have distinguished yourselves in your school through your academic endeavors, in the fine arts, in the performing arts, in athletics, and through your service to others. While enrolled at Dover-Sherborn High School, you have been offered a rigorous academic program, as one might expect from a school that has repeatedly been named a gold medal school. You have had many opportunities outside the traditional classroom setting to cultivate a strong sense of civic responsibility and to develop leadership skills. Last fall, during the presidential campaign, many of you had the opportunity to participate in a mock campaign and election on campus. You have had the opportunity to run for leadership positions, and many of you have served in leadership positions as class or student council officers, as club advisors, as club officers, and as captains of athletic teams. Several of you attended Project Close-Up and saw firsthand government in action. You participated with students from across the country in legislative simulations. Meeting Washington insiders gave you the opportunity to learn firsthand about civic responsibility and to hear what it means to serve. Through your community service work, the Tufts EPIC program, and the DS Pine Street Service Initiative, you have had the opportunity to acquire a true sense of social responsibility. It is my fervent hope that the service work performed during your high school career will impel you to continue to assist others through service and random acts of kindness. While you have faced some challenges, including all of those lab reports, projects, papers, tests, quizzes, quests, and tizzes, you will face many more challenges, and unfortunately, they may not be limited to more of those lab reports, projects, papers, tests, quizzes, quests, and tizzes. So it is critical that you have a firm resolve. I want to share a story that illustrates the importance of strength of purpose and the power of an act of kindness. This story is about a little girl named Mary. Mary was one of 5 children of a working-class family. One night, while Mary's father was at work, a fire broke out in Mary's home. Tragically, Mary's mother and 3 of her siblings perished in the blaze. One of Mary's brothers escaped serious injury, but Mary sustained severe burns. One side of her face was severely and permanently scarred. She lost several fingertips and all of her hair. Doctors did what they could, but one side of Mary's face, her hands, and her body would always bear the scars of that fateful day. Several months passed before Mary was released from the hospital and was able to return to school. Hoping for a restorative routine, anxious to reconnect with her friends and classmates, and wearing a scarf to cover her baldness, Mary headed for school alone. But instead of being shown kindness and support, she was taunted and ridiculed by her classmates in the schoolyard, day after day. Heartbroken, but determined to have some normalcy in her life, Mary did the only thing she could think of to avoid the verbal abuse she faced in the playground before school. She began arriving tardy. She would dawdle on her way to school and arrive after the bell had rung and the other students had entered the school building. A police officer who was assigned to help these elementary school students cross the intersection near the school noticed this sad little girl. When he learned of Mary's story, he championed her cause. He helped arrange for Mary to receive additional restorative procedures. Through this man's kindness and support, Mary, with her new head of hair, gained the confidence she needed and the inner strength to move forward. Though she would always bear both physical and emotional scars, an act of kindness changed Mary's perspective and gave her the courage and strength to go on. Mary grew into a beautiful young woman, married, and had children. Mary was my cousin. She became a member of my family when her father married my aunt. She was 15 years older than I, so while we didn't spend a lot of time together, I cherished those times that we were together and the conversations that we had. Mary was not embittered by her life experiences, but was inspirational, wise, and kind. She told me once that she recognized that her looks made others feel uncomfortable, so she made a conscious effort to be outgoing and helpful. Mary's story holds many lessons. We must be strong in the face of adversity. We should treat one another with respect. We should be kind and reach out to those who need support and encouragement. We should make an effort to see beyond the facade, to search for the inner beauty, for the good in others. I challenge you to perform a random act of kindness every day. It can be a kind act, a word of support or encouragement, or, at times, words not spoken. Mercifully, most people you meet will not have experienced the physical trauma that Mary did. There won't be any visible signs to clue you in. But I can guarantee you that every day of your life, there will be someone who can use a word of encouragement or support. Be mindful of that. Remember Mary. As you leave DS and begin to make your way in the world, one cannot but wonder what challenges you will face. Though recent events close to home underscore our need to be vigilant, to be strong, and to be resilient, we must not be paralyzed by fear and uncertainty. Recall the words spoken by Franklin Delano Roosevelt in his first inaugural address when he reminded Americans that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Your future holds many opportunities and great promise, and I challenge you to take advantage of those opportunities. I also challenge you to remember to fulfill your civic and social responsibilities to preserve the freedom and the way of life we now enjoy. I challenge you to face even your most difficult days with strength and determination. You can do it. Just remember Mary. I challenge you to lead by example, to do the right thing even when no one is looking, simply because it is the right thing to do. To sow the seeds of kindness, to reach out to those less fortunate, to take time to cherish those whom you love, to make good decisions, to cultivate happiness and balance in your lives. I hope that your choices ultimately lead you to find peace, fulfillment, and true happiness, and, like Mary, in the face of adversity, that you find the strength and the courage to persevere. On behalf of the faculty, staff, and administrative team, I wish you the very best always. Superintendent Spriggs, it is now my distinct privilege to present an outstanding and memorable class, the Dover-Sherborn High School class of 2013.
Thank you very much, Headmaster Lonergan. Before I begin my closing words, closing to the graduates, because it will be the last speech of the evening, I would like to turn the mic over to Mrs. Ellen Williamson, who is representing the Regional School Committee. This is not in your program, but it's very important. Mrs. Williamson?
Promise this will be quick. Denise, on behalf of the Regional School Committee, we'd like to thank you for your many years of service and dedication and extraordinary, exemplary educational values that you've instilled to all of these students, past and not, I guess, and present.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And Joanne, I'm sorry, come on up. Joanne. And again, on behalf of the Regional School Committee, we'd like to thank you for your many years of dedicated service to all of our students. The job that you've had has been a very difficult one. Lots of parents have lots of high interest in what the outcome of what your job is, and I know you hear regularly from parents, grateful and otherwise.
I do.
And we appreciate so much the many years of service.
It's been an honor and a privilege.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was an interesting graduation to plan for because Ms. Lonigan insisted it's about the class of 2013. Ms. Lonigan, you and I have also been admitted into this class. They've allowed us to graduate as opposed to retire. So I think that all that was given to you was most befitting. I do want to say to the adult community, to the leadership representing Dover and Sherborn, to the faculty, the administration, parents, it has been an honor to serve as your superintendent for the last 5 years. We are in a good place, and there is a good man waiting to step up to this podium for next year. So you are going to be in very good hands, and again, I sincerely thank you for an incredible experience with you for the last 5 years. I do want to congratulate the class of 2013. Your parents, family members, friends, teachers and administrators, thank you for an absolutely extremely well done job. This is an exceptional class. As superintendent, it has been my pleasure to share in your high school experiences, and that goes beyond those early morning calls due to inclement weather. Recently, I had the honor to attend the Military Academy's graduation at West Point. The West Point class of 2013 celebrated their graduation on a very cold and rainy day. And as I sat, very cold and soggy, and looked around at my surroundings, I began to focus on this sign at the end of the field. And it said, "Defend the Dream." The class of 2013, defend the dream. That was what the graduates had lived with for the last 4 years. And although it was a wonderful graduation, because I was cold and I was wet, my mind did wander from occasion. And it wandered to Dover-Sherborn and our class of 2013. I wondered, what does that mean? That here are 1,069 candidates who would be graduating and embracing this idea of defend the dream. Dover-Sherborn. How do we fit into that? Well, after pondering that and trying to move away from that thought and concentrate on some of the other things that were happening, I kept returning. And all of a sudden, there was an aha moment for me. Of course, Dover-Sherborn, the class of 2013, you are the dream. In every sense of what that American dream represents, that's who you are. I was the guest of Lieutenant Christopher Bolin. He was graduating second in his class. And I thought it was such a wonderful celebration, but I wondered if he really, really understood the cost of defending the dream. He did. And so did those young men and women that graduated. And the one thing that he said to me was, I don't know what my life will be like, but I am committed to defend the dream. Would you and your students and friends keep us in your thoughts and prayers? Well, that's where that 1,067 kids, young men and women, have remained in my thoughts and prayers. But then I kept coming back to you, the class of 2013 in Dover-Sherborn, as the dream. Well, if they're defending, what is it that you're going to do? You are so complex and yet so dynamic as a part of that American dream. You're incredibly bright, talented, skilled, thoughtful, and look at yourselves. Look at each other. Incredibly good looking. You have great athletic abilities, high standards, and great values. You are everything that your parents, your community, your educators, they're really admiring each other on this side of this. They're really good looking. You're everything that we want in a dream. And there are limited possibilities, all of it good. I believe you will advance the beliefs and the values that this nation was originally built on. They're worth being advanced. You are individually and collectively capable of achieving the absolute impossible, and I believe that to be the truth. With such gifts come responsibilities. Reach beyond what is doable and comfortable. Explore the unknown. Ask those difficult questions and seek not the easy response, but the right response. Reach out to those that are in need of your knowledge, your care, your expertise, your beliefs, and your talents. During your 4 years of high school, this nation has seen and struggled with horrific acts of violence. It was a monumental impact. We were shocked, hurt, angry. But the human spirit prevailed, and the American dream did not and will not perish. You are that American dream, and you can face the impossible, and you will take us to a better place. Whatever your pursuits, you will definitely lead this nation into a much, much better place. You will model a respectful, nonviolent, peaceful, and rewarding life. You will be a success. It is a given. From time to time, I would ask and hope that you might remember this Lieutenant Christopher Bolin and his 1,608 fellow West Point graduates, also the class of 2013, and find peace in knowing that they are committed to defending our dream. Keep them in your thoughts and your prayers. As DS graduates, remember and care for each other, your families, your friends, but most of all, you must value and you must care for yourselves. Believe in yourself, reach out to others, maintain your faith as you pursue and achieve your personal dreams. Once again, I am very proud to have shared your 4 years of high school with you, and sincerely congratulate each one of you on your accomplishments and wish you the very best for all of your future pursuits. At this time, you have met the Dover-Sherborn criteria for graduation, and the diplomas will now be awarded to the students in the class of 2013.
Mary Elizabeth Keogh. Nevin Andrew Weinberg. Benjamin Edward Brea. Andrew Hyunjun Jong. Emily Shahzad Rahavan. Connor Daly McCormick. Julia Bella Perlmutter. Perry James Fitz. Elizabeth Ann Rummel. Benjamin Cutler Schaefer. Madeline Ann Adams. Marissa Joy Albert. Stephen Michael Alessandro. Kylie Van Wyck Armo. Stephen William Aston. Christian Bradford Baker. Nicholas Alexander Barbier. Roberto Hugo Barbier. Stefano Alberto Barbier. James Keith Bartlett. Tiana Michelle Biddy. Joel Paul Bobe. Megan Elizabeth Body. Michelle Tamara Bornstein. Eric Robert Boyda. Molly Adler Brock. Angela Siu Kai. Melanie Emma Callahan. Olivia Catherine Cannon. Brittany Elizabeth Carter. Wes Scott Carter. Matthew Adam Cherico. Sabrina Chisty. Marshall Godfrey Conklin. Riley Austin Cooper. Taylor Rose Coots. Kevin John Crosby Jr. Rachel Ann Cunningham. Emily Lucille Seisler. Russell Thomas Daly. Dylan Mitchell Davies. Lindsay Abigail Durensis. Jean Ding. Maya Donahue. Allison Ann Douglas. Elizabeth Mackenzie Dresser Clutchman. Jeffrey Stephen Eccles. Alyssa Paige Fallon. William No Fontaine. Alexandra Forte. Sean Dobbins Forward. Morgan Mason Ferber. Carly Marie Furbush. Margaret Elizabeth Gallagher. Alexandra Johnson Gessmer. Leah Townsend Giovanella. Emma Rame Gladstone. Ryan Keith Goodall. Kira Julia Gray. Alyssa Raskin Greenstein. Elise Catherine Grenier. Grace Catherine Hanmer. Charles Scott Hines. Samuel Ball Higley. Valentine Benjamin Hollingsworth. Kira Michelle Holmes. Nathan Shattuck Howe. Matthew Richard Hemme. Brandon William Jager. Alex Stephen Jaffe. Robiny Royal Jamerson. Nicholas Paul Jeffries. Grant Michael Keefe. Paul William Keefe. Leanne Laura Keene. Nora Catherine Clemmer. Paul Philip Corus. Danielle Marissa Quatcher. Aubrey Lynn Lawson. Allison Deborah Levine. Audrey Gibson Lewis. Edmund George Linehan. Walker Rhodes Littlehill. Savannah Rose LaBelle. Cecily Caitlin Long. Haley Rose Long. Christina Catherine Lutazzi. Samantha Lee Lynch. Itamana Magalhães. Griffin Bassett Marr. Benjamin Arthur Maletta. Russell Ballou Mallet IV. Veronica McCarthy Mann. Dimitri Nicholas Markin. Paul Daniel Marcel. Callie Elise McCall. Zachary James McCurdy. John Haddon McGill. Georgia Claire McMillan. Gregory Richard Michalowski. Carter Ferguson Miles. Lee Margaret Milne. William Alexander Mitchell. Natalie Ludke Montesano. Hannah Mairead Morse. Emily Mei-Chi Moy. Bridget Mary O'Connor. Victoria Ann Ortega. Beatrice Juliet Pass. Lourdes Pena. Lexi Ray Pereira. Caleb Otto Peterson. Ryan Christopher Phelan. Alexander James Chonwang. Julia Elizabeth Ray. Matthew Alexander Reineman. Caroline Suzanne Rapetti. Eleanor Anna Clevenger Rippert. Douglas John Rossi. William Bonser Scatchard IV. Anna Nicole Cianti. Carolyn Grace Cianti. Madeline Wilcox Shale. Callie Upton Sherburne. William Matthew Simic. Jeffrey Michael Stevens. Louisa Jane Stone. Peyton Charles Stoner. Theodore Harrison Strauss. Molly Aurora Sullivan. Jackson Samuel Such. Neil Patrick Tiss. Aiden Sutton Thomas. Amory Whitelord Thomas. Grace Mackenzie Van Brunt. Andrew Quentin Van Door. Michael Patrick Vaughn. Delaney Catherine Waldron. Melissa Kate Washak. Sarah Ann Waterhouse. Elizabeth Shepherd Waterman. Victoria Dahlberg Whedon. Cameron Elizabeth Weems. Catherine Fern West. Nathaniel John Weeder. Samantha Elizabeth Williams. Patricia Margaret Williamson. Chandler Page Wood. Brandon Timothy Wu. Brandon Robert Zekas. Jacqueline Zoyce. And now, I would like Class President Mary Keogh to come up and make the graduation pronouncement.
Members of the class of 2013, we are now graduated. Please move your tassels from right to left.